All right, and we are live. What's up, YouTube? What's up, everyone out there in podcast land? My name is Prince. I'm back with my main man, Ash, and we are doing that thing that we do every week here on the Embodied Mind podcast. How's your week been, Ash?
It's not too bad. So,
With my main man, Ash, and we are doing. Did it again.
it's a it's a weekly tradition now. You just pretty much have to do it. Um, but yeah, I don't know. Like this week was, like I was telling you off the air, like we're just gonna have to wing it this week because I don't have any show notes or anything prepared for this week because I don't know. Like I just like hit the wall, I think, as far as like dieting now. I'm coming up on like the third week of, I mean, not the third week, the third month of like calorie restriction. And I don't know, I just been going through like these periods of like really low, like low mood. And I'm supposed to have a case study due for precision nutrition this week, and I'm not going to get that done. Like, there's only 4 weeks left in the program, and like at this point, like as long as I finish the rest of my lessons, I've passed the course because like I've passed like all the minimum like number of case studies. So I'm just not going to sweat this week's case study. I just didn't have it in me to like get it done and do. I don't know. It was like yesterday. I came home and I was so spacey. Like I just got off the bike and came inside and I left my keys in the bike in the, like in the ignition and on. And then I went back out to go back to work later and bike wouldn't start. So then I ended up getting home a little bit early yesterday and I ran out. Took me forever to find like an auto parts store. It's like they're getting hard to find.
Mm.
But I finally did to find like a trickle charger so I could buy it because I was borrowing my dad's and I didn't want to borrow his again, and I just wanted to get have one of my own so I don't have to worry about it anymore because I keep getting caught with my pants down on uh, uh my battery. Like either I dropped dropped the ball with my like I think my daughter, I had her park the truck one time.
Mm.
It's like, oh, move that truck so it's not like wherever. And when she did, I think because it's an older truck, so it's like if you leave, you can take the key out, but still leave the ignition like in the on position, basically. And that's what she did, and it drained the battery.
Mm.
And so it's come up already, like, I don't know, 3 or 4 times in the last 2 years or something that was like I needed a trickle charger and didn't have one. So I went out and got one of those, and then so it was like this morning I went and taught class, came home, got something to eat right away, and then tore the bike apart because that's the problem with the motorcycle. It's like it's not like a car that you can just pop the hood and the battery's right there. I have to tear the whole seat off, which is it's a hassle to get to the battery. And so yeah, so it's just this week has just been like uh so I mean, which is normal, you know what I mean? It's like you're
Yeah.
gonna have uh like when you're been cutting calories or whatever, at some point it's gonna start like, kind of catching up to you a little bit, and you just gotta push through until you get to the other side or whatever. And it was like that's the it's been kind of a little bit like a frustrating, you know, kind of period because it's like like I said, it's like my mood just gets like real low sometimes, and it's like in the middle of the day. and it's not like my energy is low. Like my physical energy is fine, but it's just like my mood like really bottoms out, and I just like hate everybody and everything. And then I'll eat like my second meal for the day, and I'll feel like a little bit better. But it's like I don't want to talk to anybody. I just want to get done what I have to do and all that kind of stuff. And I'm like super like hyper critical of everybody. Well, he's stupid. Why did he do that? Why did he do it that way? That's stupid. um, so and at the same time, it's like I've kind of stalled a little bit, like I've plateaued, like I haven't seen in the last 2 weeks. Uh, like I swear, like I still in the mirror or whatever,
Mm.
I see some like incremental improvements, but
Yeah.
it's like the scale hasn't changed and my body fat, uh, the BIA or the hasn't changed at all. So my numbers seem to be kind of stalled. So that like that's where, which like I said, like all of this is normal, where it's like it's
Mm.
normal that you're gonna have like a little plateau. It's normal that you're gonna get frustrated when you are plateauing because you still feel, I still got that kind of like constant feeling all the time of like I'm always like a little bit hungry
Yeah.
most of the time. So I was trying to adjust my light. Like I moved it in front
Uh-huh.
of my camera to try and see if that was a little bit better because like I had it behind and that was causing like a lot of shadows, but I think it was like too. How's that? Does that look better?
Yeah, that works.
I was trying to get it so that it wasn't so like so many shadows under here, but so it's like I said, like up in my chest and in my shoulders and everything, like I'm starting to see like more like definition, like in my midsection, like around like my ribs. It's
Mm.
like I'm kind of starting to see like a little bit more like definition coming out of my ribs, but it's like I still have the still rocking the jelly roll like underneath you know.
Yeah.
So, it's like just all that's what my week has been like, and that's why we're totally unprepared for this week's show with no show notes or anything. But we'll do all right.
Yeah.
Both
It
of
happened.
both of yeah, both of us already have enough knowledge and experience to be able to just do a free form show and we'll see how that goes.
Yeah. And I actually have there's some questions people have been asking me on Instagram that we could address here. I don't know. I kind of feel like it's I don't know if it's something in the atmosphere, in the heavenly bodies, meaning the moon and sun and stars and stuff. I don't mean heavenly like,
Hmm.
but I kind of had low energy this week too. It was my deload week, so I use that as my excuse. But like deload week is usually okay. I'm gonna still do the same workouts, but with lighter weights.
Right,
That didn't happen at all. I did a lot of qigong. I started the my 100 days of standing challenge.
right.
I said I'd been filming myself standing, but I just wasn't doing it. I was like, why am I recording this? And I was like, oh, I'll record it for 100 days and see if if I can watch it sped up and see if I notice any changes. If I stop shaking. And at one time, I think I told you like I was standing a lot on a consistent basis, and my messed up shoulder while I was standing one day, I just felt it like slipped into place, like where it's
Uh-huh.
supposed to be, and I was like, oh man, that's cool. And then I, moved back to take care of my grandma, and it got out of place again. So I'm wondering if that'll happen. Maybe it won't, and eventually I have to go, see a chiropractor or acupuncturist or somebody to work on the scar tissue that's in there and get it back into place. But like I've been really tired this week too. Um, my nutrition hadn't been on point, but that's been my fault just because I didn't meal prep like I should have. Um, and it was kind of good because I went to the falafel shop in my neighborhood, which is across the street from where I work. And every time I would go there, I would like try something different. And I realized like, man, people, they're making a lot of money because a lot of this stuff is really cheap to make on your own. Like one of the meals I had, what I paid for that one meal, I could make that myself, and what I spent for that one lunch, I could buy enough to make the entire week.
Right.
And then I tried like some different combinations. Like they have a bowl that you can get like with everything. Well, no, it was a lady that came in before me. She got a Greek salad with chicken. And so I asked for the same salad, but I was like, I want any meat. And can you put lentils on it? And then they gave me some ranch dressing, which isn't vegan, but I'm kind of after I told you that somebody's paleo, I'm kind of like, you know what? I'm just gonna kind of eat what I want to eat.
Right.
It's still gonna be primarily plant based, but hey, man, I like ranch dressing, so
Well,
uh,
you've always been kind of flexitarian anyway.
yeah. Um, well, we'll see how much more flexitarian I am if I end up north of the border. And she's like, "Oh, tonight we're having salmon and avocados and a salad." And
Right.
I'm gonna be eating the salmon and avocados and salad. Sorry, y'all. But
That's
anyway,
that's how it usually goes, right?
yeah, yeah. But
Um,
like stuff like seeing that is kind of today, tonight, and tomorrow. I'm definitely gonna meal prep beforehand and get everything dialed in because I gotta get up and start back lifting tomorrow. So and I really think like I think not lifting like affected my mood. Like I would have been in a much better mood this week if I had been squatting, bench pressing, deadlifting because it's almost like I dread that stuff more than going to work. And it's like,
right.
that's over with. I can do anything now. I can do anything. I got those squats out of the way.
Right. Well, I mean, that makes sense because, that was actually the study that I was planning on talking about for this week, but I didn't get to dig into it, so I don't want to like half-ass it. But it is it's like the muscular system, like skeletal muscle, as part of the endocrine system, and a lot of the hormones that are produced. Uh, in the muscles, like in response to exercise. So, I mean, that totally makes sense. But I was gonna say that it's like I've been seeing your posts on Instagram and you've been looking good. Uh, you can see you like trimming down a little bit and like got a lot more definition coming out in shoulders and the arms. So, whatever you've been doing has been working. Give me one second. I forgot to grab my power cable. I'm about to lose power on my
Oh,
phone.
oh, it's all good.
Just talk about something.
Yeah, well, I'll mention some of the questions. If you guys aren't following me on Instagram, I know I have the Urban Acolyte Instagram account, which most people follow. But the other one is Golden Bell Training. That's where all martial
Yeah.
arts and fitness stuff is, for the most part. And one of the questions that I'm getting a lot lately, well, two questions that I know I've gotten off the top of my head because I do the Guangping Yang style form. That's not what Ash and I study. I do that for fun. We study Li Chin, but I had a Chin style Tai Chi guy ask me like, what's the difference between Chin style and Li Chin? What's the difference between Chin style and Guangping? Um, and so basically he does this what a lot of people consider the most combative style of Tai Chi, the one where all the great fighters come out of from Chin-Jiago. Why would I want to study Ili Chin over Chin style Tai Chi? And then the other question I've been getting a lot lately is, what's the purpose of this jam jong or standing post, standing meditation training? Like, what are the benefits? Why would I want to commit to doing that for 100 days?
Yeah, sounds good. So what do you got so far?
Well, as far as the why would I want to study Ely Chin over Chin style? For me, I have better access to high level Ely Chin people than Chin people. I'm talking to you right now. I think
Right.
you're better than any Chin person that I personally met. I'm not gonna. I don't count. Even though Jeff told me that he does, he hangs out with a Chin group once a week. I'm claiming him Ely Chin. So Jeff,
Oh,
if you're listening to this, I don't care that you do Chin style for fun. You're strictly Ely Chin.
oh yeah, yeah. Jeff is totally he's a Elite One fixture. So I mean, he's got like kind of a because he trains with or or at one point they were training with Steve Arboleda.
Mhm.
So I don't know if you've ever heard of Steve Arboleda, but
I don't know.
Steve was a student of in addition to Ely Chen, he also trained with Tom Bizio. So I don't know if you know Tom.
Mhm.
So Tom Bizio, he wrote the book. Man, what's the name of it? It was like from the tiger's claw or tiger's tooth. I think someone said tiger's tooth, but it's a pretty well-known like book in English on Chinese medicine.
Mhm.
Um, and for a long time, he had an ongoing article in Kung Fu Tai Chi magazine. There was like a little like medical segment like every month that they had in there, and Tom Bizio was the author of that. And but Tom was also like a well-known guy in the Chinese martial arts community from like back in the 80s and 90s. And so he's kind of quiet lately. I think he just focused on it's like MMA like really stole all our thunder as far as like the Chinese arts. I mean, it's like a lot of the guys that were like really serious kind of started drifting towards doing like more MMA and Thai boxing and stuff like that, even though they kept a finger in the Chinese arts or they went into grappling. And Steve was a student of Tom Bizio, so he learned his learned all his medicines, martial arts and stuff. But Steve is also good friends with Tim Cartmel, so
Mhm.
I know you know who Tim Cartmel is.
Yeah.
So Steve is he's got like a diverse kind of background. He likes to mix it up. He likes to play rough, and Jeff likes to play rough too. And so Jeff was messing around with those guys for a long time before Joshua like opened up his own like dedicated uh, Elitron school in like in Chinatown or Manhattanish, like somewhere in there. And then, uh, but Joshua is kind of busy spending a lot of time like in Poland and
Yeah.
in Germany and stuff like that. So
Yeah, he's traveling
um,
a lot.
yeah, so Jeff ends up kind of I think running most of those classes over there at that Manhattan school or the Chinatown. I think it's Chinatown. Um, but yeah, so yeah, Jeff has like a kind of a mixed background as well, and like I said, likes to play. He likes to mix it up. He's not just about like doing like push like real soft like
Yeah.
push hands all the time. Uh, but yeah, as far as like I don't know. I don't really have anything to add or take away from like the guy like on the Chen style
Yeah.
question. Um, I mean, all I would just say is that it's like they're different arts. You know what I'm
Mhm.
saying? And it's like I mean, it's kind of like the same thing as as diets, right? So it's like there's since we talk about nutrition so much, there's research that shows, kind of some of the most up-to-date research is showing right now that what matters most is that you get out of the middle,
Mhm.
actually. That either like uh, higher fat and low carb works really well for some people. Like that's what I'm doing right now. Or you go more like the vegan and vegetarian route and you go like high carb, like higher carb and low fat with kind of like, lower or moderate protein. That one or the other works really well. But if you try and like split the difference and like go down the middle, because that's when you end up like eating like fat and carbs together in combination is seems to be like what doesn't work like really well. So, but like I said, it's like for some people, like say for me, that it's like the higher fat, lower carb approach is working better, but it's not going to work for everybody. Like that approach, and especially just for some people, like like I think for like you and I are both kind of in the same boat. It's like where it's like we have our diet, we have our nutrition, but we don't identify with our diet.
Yeah, yeah,
It's like it's not a part of our identity. It's like it's a tool that we use it because it's working for us. But for like a lot of people, that's not the case. It's like especially like on the vegan side, whereas like for where they're like eating a vegan diet is a social choice, part of like social protest,
yeah.
you know, and that's fine. But it's like because like for those people, like it doesn't matter like how well like high fat and low carb works. You're not going to get them to right. Like it's not it doesn't match. It's not a good fit, right? And then you get the same thing like on the other side
Well,
too,
you do have some high fat, low carb vegans, and then hey man, more power to them.
right?
And they mostly end up eating like fake food. It was like the conversation we had around the table when I was out there in February. Was that last year?
Right.
And um who I can't remember who said it, that like if somebody says they're vegan, then don't eat like mock meats, just eat, you're vegan, so you should only eat vegetables. And I agree with that to a certain point, but I'm like, hey man, if somebody had been eating that way since they were a child, but it's like when I want a burger, and if I got some, I mean, even if I go back to eating meat, I'll still, because I used to eat veggie burgers before, so I'll still, but now that I know that there's like Beyond Meat and the Impossible Burger where you eat it and you like, man, I can't tell that this is not meat. You know,
Right.
I'm gonna still enjoy those. Actually,
But
they're about as unhealthy according to the vegan doctors as eating a regular burger, but it's not as much saturated fat. But it's like you're still getting bad stuff, as opposed to eating a
yeah,
salad.
well, I mean, it's just like anything else where it's like, you know, sometimes you need, sometimes you need like a little something, like
Yeah.
a little band-aid or whatever. Like you're in a slump and you just need something to kind of like get you over the hump a little bit. Whereas like, so like last night, like I said, you know, my mood was already low,
Mhm.
and uh, and then it got even lower like after I spaced it and killed the battery on my bike, and I felt like I felt that need for like some emotional eating, for whatever it was, and so rather than just like throw caution to the wind, I made up like a keto, like a chocolate keto mug cake. So it used
Oh, nice.
uh, erythritol, and a little bit of yeah, I think it's erythritol, not urethritol. R. Kelly's sweetener of choice, right? Uh, but yeah, I used the erythritol, a combination of a little bit of like erythritol and it's called allulose.
Mm.
So like allulose is a naturally occurring sugar, but it's not supposed to metabolize. It's not supposed to metabolize in the body the same way, or even at all. But we know how that goes. Like we were just talking about that last week with the Splenda, and but it's like right, yeah, the sucralose. Uh, but yeah, so I used like a tablespoon of each one of those, and to sweeten it up a little bit, I used like little 3 tablespoons of almond flour, and then I cut it up into 3 sections. Gave the other two to my kids, so I just had like just a little one, like just enough to get like you know just enough to like get me over that hump.
Yeah.
But I'm still not gonna like rely on that stuff as a staple because it's not whole food is
Mm.
what it comes down to, right? And so it's like the same thing. Or it's like I think it's the same thing like with the vegan the veggie burger, like the Beyond Meat burger. It's like
Yeah.
if you're jonesing for a burger, by all means, like indulge, but it shouldn't be like a staple
Yeah. Yeah.
of your diet. But this is getting kind of like way off on the tangent because we were talking about like it was about the difference between like
Yeah.
Elytron and Chen style is like I have said before, it's like there's skilled masters and practitioners like everywhere, like every style has them. Um, but it's just a matter of like what at the end of the day is like what resonates with you. It's like if it's not a good fit for you, it's not going to work. Like no matter how effective a tool it is, and so it's like for me, um, I mean, I would definitely like to say that for me, Elytron is like the best art. If it wasn't, I'd be looking for something else to do. I'd be trying to train something different.
Yeah.
But I know at the same time is that like what is right for me or like what is the best art for me is not necessarily going to be the best art for everybody. So if somebody wants to do Chen style, do Chen style. If somebody wants to do BJJ, go do BJJ. If you want
Yeah.
to do Thai boxing, go do Thai boxing. It's like it's all good. It's like whatever is going to get you like the result, that you're after. So we got a little message here from Medical Vitriol. So anyway, he's excited to see us back online. Vitriol, we're happy to be back online, and hopefully you do bring a friend, and then hopefully our other buddy Rodney Brown will be back too. Um, but anyway, like I was saying that for me it's the best choice for me, and it's taken me pretty far. So I mean, it's not that we've been having some kind of conversations behind like closed doors about things that we're trying to we still have some problems that we're trying to figure out how to address, but it's not really like anything with the art itself,
Mhm.
like the training and the art and the package and everything is more like organizational stuff, and that's all like off topic. Uh, but yeah, and then for the standing meditation, like every time that I've done like I have kind of some pre-existing like shoulder injuries myself.
Mhm.
And so I've found that every time that I've done a lot of standing meditation, like I can get up to 30 minutes,
Mhm.
like fine. And then as soon as I start like standing past that 30-minute mark, man, it gives me tendonitis in my in my shoulders like pretty bad.
Yeah.
So I haven't figured out how to overcome that issue. You having any problems like that?
No, I'm not, but I noticed like after my little I stand for 16 minutes and I said that's all I'm doing for the 100 days is 16 minutes. Um is that like I'm really stiff like afterwards.
Right.
Um and it's I had a guy ask me a couple of times if I have you increased your time, and I'm like, dude, I'm only on day 5. Why would I increase my time already?
Right.
But I mean, coming from initially from each one where it was 8 postures, working up to 5 minutes each, so 40 minutes of standing, and then coming over to Ely Chin and Kelly was like, you shouldn't stand more than 20 minutes ever. And it's almost like, well, like I've asked myself, you know, would I develop the skill level that I want without standing? Because I mean, I've heard Sifu say, stand, but he doesn't say for how long, and it sometimes I'm under the impression he doesn't mean stand for very long. Do the exercises, and and so I almost feel like, am I just standing because I'm still clinging to stuff from each one, or am I actually going to get some benefit out of this? But I said I'll do it for 100 days and record my progress and see if I notice anything. I mean, at the end of the day, you know, if you don't, the only way you're going to know is if you self experiment and see what happens.
Right. No, I mean he does like standing,
Hmm.
and he at one point he was talking about where he wanted everyone to complete 100 days of standing before
Hmm.
they would get like their instructor 1 or 2 or something like that. And he wanted people to be able to stand for like up to an hour.
Oh wow.
So, and I know like some of the guys from like Latvia, like Martin,
Hmm.
and you know, a bunch of the Russians have all like completed the 100 day, like their 100 day challenge and standing for like 100 minutes. I mean, an hour.
Oh wow.
But like I said, I've never been able to get past like 35. Like if I once I hit like the between 35 and 40 minute mark, man, it's like right, it just starts killing me like in the anterior portion of my shoulders. Regardless of like what kind of like prehab and rehab I'm doing, because it's like I spend a lot of time just trying to mobilize my shoulders. I mean, I think actually um, I still need to work on my shoulder extension,
Hmm.
which is basically like bringing the arm like back behind the body. So like by gymnastic standards, uh, I'm still missing quite a bit of shoulder mobility. Like I said, especially in extension. So
Hmm.
I've got like my overhead is pretty good. Um, but so that I mean that could be playing a role. So maybe if I focus more on getting my shoulder extension as a counterpoint to standing like and holding the ball. But usually like when I do it,
Hmm.
like every time that I've done it, like I would just do it and I would just hold the ball.
Hmm.
But I think like a lot of the other guys that have completed it is like they've done like holding the ball up here, holding the ball here, then holding the ball down here, like different,
Right.
like you said, like 5 minutes,
Yeah.
5 minutes in the different positions.
Yeah.
And the
More to
the
each one.
couple, yeah, like the couple times that I've done that,
Hmm.
I'm like, well, this is a breeze because you're only holding every posture for
Yeah.
5 minutes
Yeah.
compared to just
Just
just holding the ball for 35, 40 minutes.
yeah, that would suck.
Um, uh, so I mean, it wasn't so bad. I mean, you remember Luke?
Yeah.
Yeah, so him and I were doing it, and like we were doing it together. Like at the end, like we would train, and then
Mhm.
after we were done training, um, we would start. Oh, there's Rodney. What's up? Officially football season, but I'm here enjoying the content off topic. Did you guys catch any of the MMA action? Let me see. Uh, Actually, I did miss. I think Rodney, you were missing us at the beginning of the show. We were talking about I had some vehicle troubles with my bike yesterday, so um, I missed the fights last night. Normally, I would try and catch them on Saturday. Hopefully, we got the static issue revolved or resolved. Does it sound good now? No, Vitriol, that's on my end. I need to replace my mic. Every once in a while, it'll throw a little bit of static. So, but thanks for letting us know. So, but yeah, anyway, uh, I'm not sure. I mean, it's like, I've been able to go pretty far
Mhm.
in my training without really doing like a bunch of standing. I mean, I do like to use like some standing postures. Uh, so I guess we should also make a point of saying that this kind of standing, like jump jong, or sometimes my Mandarin is not so good, so it's Zhuan Zhang, Zhuan Tuang, uh, is like literally means like standing post, and is more like as a type of qigong compared to like the standing posture of meditation under the four postures: sitting, standing, walking, and lying down. So different purposes and different outcomes. I like to use like some of the standing postures for basically to reinforce the balance of the macrocosmic energies, like the balance of the yin yang in the body, and really like kind of drilling in deep to like myelinate those pathways of like suspending the crown, like having like that feeling of like the long spine.
Yeah, that's what
Uh,
Lubo was telling me, and I was kind of like, I'm gonna need some extra instruction with, on how to do that.
well, I don't know. I was thinking about calling Lubo out a little bit on that. Like, okay, like let's do a challenge, like
Yeah,
a friendly challenge, and we'll all time lapse it, and we'll see like how much twitching, it shows up in your video,
yeah,
when it's time lapse, because of course, as every time you breathe, it
yeah,
changes your posture. I mean, that's part of the one of the things to like look into to observe is like you have to like there's no such thing as like once and for all. You have to like keep rebalancing and
yeah.
rebalancing and rebalancing. Um,
And if you're
this
getting
is
eaten
part.
alive by mosquitoes,
All right. Well, yeah, that too. Um, Whereas like I'm kind of lucky that way, so I don't have to worry about too many mosquitoes. At least not in the neighborhood that I'm in right now.
yeah, they tear me up, man. That I might end up getting coming up out of the Crocs sooner than I want to. Might have to
Right.
start wearing pants and my sweats and everything so the mosquitoes will stay off of me.
Right. But and you have like an excuse to wear like your flowy kung fu fisherman's pants and something on
Yeah,
top to keep the mosquitoes off. But yeah, like I was posting some stuff about some of the apnea training that I'm working on because I got that exposure workshop coming up next month. Like I was actually going to take the kids on vacation in Hawaii again. We're going to go back to Lahui.
nice.
But then after I had everything booked already, and then I remembered like the exposure workshop falls like right in the middle of those dates that I wanted to go hit. So I was like, "Oh, sorry, kids, we're gonna have to reschedule that." But yeah, I'm kind of looking forward to that one. We'll see how that goes.
Is that a Wim Hof thing?
It's not Wim Hof. It's like it's through like Brian McKenzie and the Power Speed Endurance guys. So like Brian McKenzie had done stuff with Wim Hof initially,
Mhm.
but since he's in Southern California and he already like he's already plugged in with like Kelly Starrett and all those guys like on the kind of like the upper echelons of like the CrossFit community.
Yeah.
And Brian McKenzie's focus is more on like the ultra endurance stuff.
Okay.
So he's run like 100 miles barefoot, like that kind of stuff. And so he kind of had already made a name for himself in the performance community. And so I think Stanford University reached out to him and had asked him to come in and be a part of like their research team, like maybe like a consultant or something like that as part of their research team. And so, like with all the work that he's done with Stanford, it's like him and his team with power speed endurance, like they've really got like a lot of that apnea and the holotropic breathing and everything. Like they've got it dialed in based on like the results of like a lot of EKG readings and functional MRI and all that kind of stuff. And so, but as part of like what they're doing, like they have all these, they have two different kind of tracks that they're teaching, like as part of their workshop. So they have one that they call the art of the breath,
Hmm.
and then they have another one that is called the exposure. So exposure is where like they're dealing with both they're like sauna and the cold exposure.
Heat and cold. Okay.
Yeah,
It amazes me that like while you were talking, I was like thinking about like all of this stuff that these research universities are looking into now when it comes to human performance. People like Brian Wim Hof, and like because of the circle of people in the fitness and martial arts community, like I mean, like Steve Cotter's trained with Wim Hof, Dave Whitley. We
right,
both know my meditation teacher was a person who introduced me to Wim Hof um, 10 years ago. And he does martial arts, and he's a C-lot guy. Um, so it's like, to me, it's like everybody, and then I have to think back and remember, like, no, that's just like my
right,
circle of friends. If
right,
I think if I walk into the building where I work, I would be shocked if I could find 5 people that know who Wim Hof is. Like
right,
I wouldn't even say the building, the complex. So the 3 buildings in that parking lot area, I would be shocked if I could find 5 people. And I'm like what are y'all doing? Like what are you doing with your lives, man?
right. Yeah, I mean it's like you
Kind
said,
of sad.
we get kind of like that silo effect going on. Um, Whereas it's like seems like everybody is on the same page and doing the same thing, and then you get in like with the get back out into like the real world, and you're actually the weird one.
Yeah. And it
Um,
kind of makes me feel bad because like I mean like I started the online training academy this week, and
right,
so they're like trying to make me like dial in my niche. Well, you saw it like some in the Facebook group. I'm
right,
working on that same exercise with coming up with your USP, and it's like, well, technically the people I want to train are the ideal target or the ideal niche for my Star Wars YouTube channel is, geeks that are in the single males 30 to 45 that are in the Star Wars that need to get in a better shape and always wanted to be Luke Skywalker. That's
right.
that's my damn it. I've been sitting here trying to figure out how to word my USP. That was it right there. uh,
But yeah, and at least you got it on video too, so you can just go back and watch the video again to write it down. You don't have to try to remember it.
yeah, but then it's like all these people, they're not they're not in that need, and so then I feel bad because it's like, man, I could really help y'all, but you might not be interested in what I have to offer, and I'm kind of we don't speak the same language, and so I don't know. It's almost like it's like I feel like I'm trying to do what the Jedi did.
Right.
You gotta have this many midi chlorians to hang out or something.
Right. You gotta pass the first test.
Yeah, gotta be able to open this holocron.
How you how's that online trainer? Okay, I was thinking about it too. Like I wanted to I'm gonna do it, but I might have to wait until like next year instead of
Yeah.
this year because I still have like a couple things that like I want to take care of this year for myself because I wanted to do the NASM
Mm-hmm.
and then so it's like that's gonna be and then it was because I ended up I signed up for that exposure workshop.
Mm-hmm.
So that's like that was a couple that was a nice little chunk of change out of my pocket too that I
Yeah.
just paid like all at once for that. So that kind of like set me back or delayed me, as far as like my schedule. So I probably won't even start on my NASM until after the first of the year.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm thinking I'm trying to decide if I want to recertify with the NSCA. I have all the NASM books already. I have their books for their advanced certifications too. Um, and so I'm leaning in that direction, but part of me is like, man, I don't really want to do another certification. I mean, I went to
Right.
school and got like my little diploma for like for a lot of people, that's sufficient. Like I did a 9-month program and took all the classes and had tests out of the NSCA's book. Um, and I had like all the quizzes to sit for the CSCS exam while I was in school. Like I could have, somebody was like, why don't you just take the CSCS exam now? I probably could have back then, but now now I don't know. There was only one reason I wanted to take the CSCS exam, and that was because there's I can't think of the name of the organization. It's a nutrition organization, and it's like there's only two ways to get that certification. You either have to have like a degree in nutrition, or you have to have the certified strength coach specialist, whatever. Is that what it? Yeah, cert. Yeah. You have to. That's the only way you can sit for their exam, and I don't. The guy that told me about it, Precision Nutrition, they either weren't out or no, we didn't know about them. So he was like, "Yeah, dude, you should get this because this is like the best nutrition certification you can get." Um, Now I haven't since I don't. Well, he got out of training and became a nurse practitioner, so he doesn't even talk about them anymore.
Right.
But so I'd like to go back and ask him now, like, would you still, knowing that PN is out there, would you just save your money and your time and do PN level 2, or would you still? Because I'm like, I don't. If I can get out of having to study and pay to take the CSCS exam, I don't really want to do it. I don't. I guess I don't like. I can understand the need for a fitness or personal trainer certification, but I kind of feel like if you do any kind of functional training, or I'll say non-traditional training, we're not in the gym doing reps and bench press and machines and all of this. It's like, and even like the advanced, I won't say but the top strength, like Christian Thibodeau, um, the strength sensei guy, I can't remember, Charles Poliquin.
Charles Poliquin, yeah.
Yeah, like they don't need the stuff that they're doing is not what's in the textbooks. So I almost feel like whatever credentials I need to go and ask Charles Poliquin, hey, can I intern under one of your guys, Coach Thibodeau, Christian? Mike and Sincere, I'm cool with them. how can I learn from you? That's the piece of paper that I want. And if they say, hey man, you like training, you've been training people, you know, let me take a look at your workouts and I'll quiz you. We'll have some ongoing thing online, read my articles, whatever. Then like shit, man. Like why would I pay this organization for a piece of paper? And once I get it, I don't know how to train anybody. I'd rather just go to the people that are the top dogs and just say, hey man, how do I learn from you? And what do I need to have in order for you to start teaching me? And that's what
Right.
I do. That's my advice to any trainers out there, aspiring trainers that might be listening. I know it's one on my YouTube channel and he doesn't know about the podcast. So I'm gonna have to alert him to this episode. Say, hey man, I just answered your question right there. That's exactly what you ought to do. Find a coach
Right.
you like and ask them, what do I need to do so that I can learn from you?
Yeah, I mean, I kind of feel like overall, I feel the same way. Like, I don't really feel like I need to get the, like, from myself, I don't feel like I need to get the
Mhm.
certification, but it's just a matter of like, I think the way that I'm kind of coming at it from is like, get it first and then say you don't need it.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like, show that you can get it,
Yeah.
that you can do what it takes to get it, and then say you don't need it.
Yeah, I guess that's a because I mean I can't go to my folder and pull out my here. See, here's where I got it in
Right.
2010, 2011.
Right. Because, then when it comes down to it, it's like the people that you're working with, it's like they don't really,
They don't care.
the only people that care about that kind of stuff is like other people in the other coaches or, other people with, certifications and degrees and like all that kind of stuff. I mean, they want to know like that kind of stuff. But
And the
people,
ones that do are kind of snobs. Like I was I don't even care about throwing this person under the bus. Like I was at Dave's gym, right? And she's all American women's basketball player and basketball strength and conditioning coach and has a nice fancy gym in South Nashville. And I remember she said, I won't even interview another trainer to work in my gym unless they have a CSCS. And I'm sitting here like, but you're here to learn from Dave, and Dave doesn't have any. All he just did the RKC. He doesn't
right,
have. So you're learning from him, and he doesn't have. So you mean the guy that you're learning from, you wouldn't hire him to work in your gym, but you're here. You're at his gym to learn from him. It's like how
right,
much sense does that? And then it's like she was saying it to another guy that had a CSCS, and I'm like, and I've done hard style and I do kettlebell sports. So technically, I know more about kettlebells than both of you. And I've been training with Dave longer than both of you. But I was just like, okay, it's whatever. And at that point, I was kind of like, you know what? Fuck the strength community in Nashville. Let me
right.
get out of this city because if that's how it is, I don't want any part of what y'all are doing. You can't
Yeah.
hang out in my gym unless you have your CSCS.
I mean, I don't think that problem is unique to the
Yeah,
community in Nashville. I mean, it's like
yeah.
there's always somebody that's going to be like that. Like I can't remember there was somebody that had gone through and the guy has like a PhD in human nutrition or whatever, and
Mhm.
he was like running around Instagram like the nutrition police. He was like checking up on if people were using like nutrition hashtags or whatever in their posts, and he was like running around like jumping on their posts and like we have PhDs and you don't know what you're talking about and yada yada yada. And because she was like a PN, she had her precision nutrition certification.
Mhm.
And I think she's in my cohort for level 2, so she's pursuing like the master, quote unquote, like the master level like nutrition coaching program. And it's like, uh, for one, you may have like in-depth knowledge of nutrition, like all the biochemical processes that things like go through or whatever, but in the physiology, but can you apply it
Right.
to yourself? Can you apply it to yourself? And then after you apply it to yourself, are you able to help someone apply it to their life and their unique, specific circumstances? That's what coaching's all about.
Yeah.
Like the fundamentals of human nutrition are not rocket science. Like eat whole foods,
Yeah.
right? Pretty much what it comes down to. But the rest of it is like it's all like the sticky stuff, like all the fuzzy, science, like the change psychology and people's like emotional attachment to food and, like the social implications of trying to lose weight or trying to like eat like a special diet or whatever. So it's like, I've gotten to a point now where it's like, uh, people have seen me because I'm down like, I started at 235
Hmm.
and I'm kind of like right now floating around like 208, 209.
Nice.
So I've almost, lost like a solid 30.
Mm.
And so now I see when people are seeing me, they're like, wow, you're really trimming down. Like, what are you doing? Now they want to know, right?
Yeah.
Because like
Yeah.
they saw the results. But, like a lot of times, I mean, I didn't have this problem like in my immediate social circle, especially because like the majority of my like, except for my part-time job, like the majority of my immediate social circle is all like Elytron
Mhm.
people. It's all people that are into like some level of taking care of themselves, and so I didn't have anybody like trying to sabotage me. Um, but many people will have that experience where it's like, oh, it's like you've already done, so well. Just have like
Oh,
this
live a
hand,
little.
right? Just have this handful of cookies. It's like because people start to get like, insecure, about what you're doing because then it makes them feel, like they judge themselves a little bit, because they feel like, oh man, I know I need to lose 40 pounds, but I don't want to do what I need to do it. It's like I want to change without having to change. I want the
Yeah.
outcome, I want the result, but I don't want to have to put like the suffering in. Like I said, it's even for me, like now it's like I have like all these skills and I know like all the everything behind, and I still like hit this like wall, like the last 2 weeks where I feel like I'm in a real slump and blah blah blah. And it's like so it doesn't matter like your PhD in human nutrition. It's like, can you help people navigate that sticky stuff that is where like the real like obstacles to change are, it's like how are you going to help people find like strategies and solutions that work for them and their unique circumstances, stuff like that. So it's like that's what coaching is about.
Yeah.
Even it doesn't matter like how it's like the same thing like with like with martial arts. It's like you could be the best fighter on the planet, you know, like let's say like Brock Lesnar or something, it's like doesn't matter, it's like and I pick him because of it, specifically because of his size, right? Like he's going to be able to beat like 99.99% of the population of the earth in a fight, or at least he would have been able to before he got sick. But he can't teach you to be like him,
Hmm.
right? Like you need to be able to teach somebody that's like specific to their circumstances, to their physiology, to their, you know, size and life and family situation, economics, all that kind of stuff. And that's what, so it's like more than anything, I think that's what coaching is about. And I think for me, that's one of the reasons why I think pursuing precision nutrition and their certification was probably like the best decision. I was when I was going through PN1, I was telling my wife like this was like last year. said, man, this is probably like the best decision that I've made for like my own training and my own advancement, like that I've made in the last 5 years at
Mm.
least. And then it was like I was lucky enough to be able to get into the PN2 program. And PN2, like as good as PN1 was, PN2 blows PN1 as like on a whole nother level, like a quantum level above, especially because it's like a 1 year program with like daily lessons and written case studies, and you have a coach that follows up with you regularly. Uh, so it's like all of the skills that I've gained through doing like PN2. Uh, and that's kind of why I want to still pursue like the NASM, whereas like especially after like doing martial arts for almost 20 years, it's like I know
Mm.
how to train people, you know. It's not that I don't know how to train people, but like trying to just constantly pursue like another level.
Yeah.
Uh, it's like just going like putting in that work will make you better. Like even if you don't end up like using, anything actually like from the cert itself or whatever. So because most of the stuff like that, like I already know, like most of the stuff for the NASM is probably not going to cover most of the stuff that both of us are like really into, like
Mm.
kettlebells, Indian clubs,
I
like
think
kind of all the
NASM does have they have a continuing education kettlebell course, but I don't know how good it is.
right. Um, So yeah, so like I said, it's like I'm gonna pursue it first. I'm gonna get it and then say I don't need it.
Yeah.
So like I said, it's like I already know that I put in my time, I put in the effort, I know I can do it, I did do it, and then whether or not like I want to maintain it would be like another thing. But I was kind of thinking of one of the things that I might do is like once I have it is to just try and take like my PN cert
Mm-hmm.
and like my PNSer and the NASM and like go into like one of the local gyms that they have here and see like what I can do with them so that like I could teach like maybe like I could teach my Elite Chun classes there. Basically what I want is to be able to have the qualifications to get my foot in the door and then use their space
Yeah.
and use like some of their facilities because there's things that like are impractical to do.
Mm-hmm.
So for instance, like with some of the exposure training, it's like there's heat shock proteins and then there's cold shock proteins. Well, on a day-to-day level, like right now, like in the summertime while it's hot, like I'm exposed to air temperatures that are at least 130 degrees, which is I think like that's the minimum that you
Mm-hmm.
need to start getting like the benefits from the heat shock proteins. But that's only during the summer. And in the
Mm-hmm.
winter here, it's cold enough that you get some like I think you get some challenge to your physiology for adaptation if you underdress. Um, it'll get down into the 30s at night, but I don't think it's like really cold enough to challenge your system to get like the cold shock proteins.
Mm-hmm.
And I think like for this environment, it's like financially impractical and like environmentally, it's probably not so sustainable to try and do a lot of the cold exposure training here unless you have access to like a walk-in freezer,
Mm-hmm.
which I've been kind of angling on that too, because there's some guys that I'm cool with at the corner store around here, and I wanted to ask them like, hey, how cold is it in your walk-in freezer? And could I just go in and sit in there for 20 minutes, in my shorts and a t-shirt? But I haven't gotten there yet. But yeah, so it's like, and I don't have the space right now to be able to set up a sauna at home. So like there's some things that it's like it's just impractical to do at a small scale.
Yeah.
Like if you have like an unlimited budget or whatever, and you want to set up your own cold tank and your own sauna at home, awesome, go ahead. But for most people, it's probably impractical. So it's better to share those resources like at a gym. The same thing like with a pool. Like I had a house with a pool before, and I hated it because it was so much time and effort to try and maintain the pool.
Yeah.
But at the same time, I would still like to have access to a pool. So it's like if I just had access to a gym, just to have, like I said, access to the that larger scale, like more expensive kind of stuff like a sauna, pool. Maybe if they had like an ice bath in there, because I mean, some people, more gyms are starting to get hip to, like the benefits of cold exposure and stuff
Yeah.
like that. So they'll have like an ice bath set up in the same room or like close by, like where they have the the sauna. And so yeah, so like I said, if I have an actual, it's like I have my martial arts instructor certification, I'll have my the NASM, I'll have precision nutrition level 2. So like at that point, I should be able to walk into anywhere and say, okay, at the minimum, at least I'm well qualified,
Yeah.
you know, and then just kind of go from there. So because like I said, it's like right now, it's like I was talking about opening up a facility, like a martial arts school, like here in
Mhm.
town. But once you go that route, like you're gonna have to have like kids classes and stuff.
Yeah.
And it's like I'm not 100% sure that I'm ready to like get into that. But if you don't have that, it's tough to support like an adults only program like in a
Mhm.
facility.
Yeah. Yeah. You
Because yeah,
got
so
gotta offer
uh,
more.
right. So I was thinking like if I'm messing around in a gym, like if I already have a relationship with a gym, you know, then maybe I'd be able to use their space to teach my classes and stuff like that and have access to sauna, pool, possibly, whatever other stuff that they have there. So, that's kind of where I'm going with it.
Cool. Cool. Yeah, I looked Kelly had me write something up for after my grandma passed, like I guess my vision, career vision or something. What it would look like if I were teaching Ely Chin. And I always had something in there where I would still be doing training and coaching and then kind of have my own little group that I train with and then teach in the evenings. But um, I thought back to then and I didn't want to do kids classes. I was like, I'd rather teach seniors than kids.
Right.
Um, I wouldn't rule it out, but if I had any kind of kids thing, it would be more, oh, I'm going and hanging out with some kids for a little while, and then when I get tired of them, I'm not committing to something every day for the next 30, 40 years.
Right.
Prince's Kung Fu daycare
Right.
classes.
Right.
No.
Right.
After school care. No. No. Mm-mm. Especially with what I'm doing right now. Nope. Because one of them, you touch one of them the wrong way, you might be in trouble.
Right.
Dealing with some parents. And I don't even
Right.
mean like the creepy
Right.
kind. I just mean like you touch them on the shoulder or something the wrong way, and you grab my kid, and
Right.
kids start crying, and now you're dealing with police reports and CPS.
Right. Yeah. So, um, yeah, that's why I'm just kind of like, I think maybe I'll put the research off on opening up that facility off to like next year, finish PN2 and kind of um, finish getting where I want, as far as where I'm trying to get, to my desired level of leanness and like trying to work out and stuff. Because it's like, uh, yesterday I was supposed to get in a workout because I haven't been able to do it on Sundays because like, man, Sundays is like super busy for me now. Because I get up in the morning, I go teach my class, then after class, come back here. get something to eat, have like a little time to maybe like finish up with the show notes or address like whatever I have left for a upcoming case study. Then we record the podcast. Then I get in like a little nap maybe, and then I got to shoot off to work to go to do my part-time gig. And so trying to squeeze in a workout on Sunday has been tough. And so instead I wanted to move it to Saturday. And like I said, like yesterday, my mood was just,
Yeah.
and then with the extra stuff that I had come up, and it's like it wasn't going to happen yesterday. So now I got to try and squeeze it in today somehow.
Yeah, I did the same. I was getting ready to work out, and I laid down in the garage, like on the floor, and like I blinked, and like 15 minutes had passed, and I was like, I'm still laying here. And
Right.
then I was like, okay, let me see what I'm supposed to do. And I was like, oh man, I gotta think about this. 30 more minutes passed, and I was like, you know what? Mentally, I am not into this, and I'm not even gonna try to make myself do it. Like I'll
Right.
make up for it tomorrow, and I still haven't done it yet. So
Right. I mean, that's the good part about having like workout partners and having
yeah,
people like waiting for you to show up, or like they're gonna show up where you're at or whatever it's gonna be, because it's like there's just a lot of times where it's like you won't feel like it, but you have like that social obligation. It's like somebody's coming, and it's like whether I want to or not, I'm just gonna go out and do like what I can. It's like the same thing, even like with training, like with martial arts, like a lot of times that's like if it wasn't for the fact that I know I had people paying me to be there, I'd have a hard time getting, off the couch and getting out the door to do it.
yeah,
So that's why, like I say, that's like obligation is not always a bad thing.
yeah. We had this
Yeah,
conversation at the end of episode 2.
right, right. So it's like sometimes you need to like just like obligate yourself to other people. It's kind of like commit yourself in some way to other people. Have them expecting you to be there so that you'll, when it starts getting tough, you'll have a reason to power through. It's like you have a why that's bigger than just yourself. But I think I'm gonna have to like wrap up for this week. I'm starting to like get a cramp. I got to get my electrolytes dialed in. I got to go slam some salt.
Yeah,
So, and we're just over an hour, so I think that's a good time to wrap up for this week's episode.
yeah.
Do you got anything that you want anybody to know?
Check out my Instagram. I'll be putting up more kettlebell stuff. Yeah, this week I'll off the deload week. So yeah, it'll be a lot of kettlebell stuff, um, martial arts, strength conditioning stuff going up over there.
Very
Oh,
cool.
oh, and that's at Golden Bell Training.
Right, right. And then you guys can hit me up on Instagram at Ash Higgs. As usual, those will be in the links will be in the video description below. If this is your first time here, don't forget to hit that subscribe button. Give us a big thumbs up and share. And then in the future, like these live stream episodes are going to be available only to our Patreons or our patrons over on Patreon. And you guys will be you won't be able to see us. You'll just be able to hear us in the future. So if you guys want to continue to catch the live stream and participate in the chat, be able to drop questions on us, make sure you head over to Patreon, sign up to support the show over there. We're just asking for $5 a month. The link to that is in the video description below. I think that's going to do it for this week, Prince. I will catch you next week.
All right, see y'all another time.
Sounds good.